I did also realize I had battery saver on, so that might be a part of the reason why it's been crashing. So hopefully it is, because that means, because I know last night when I was doing this, the day that it was working really well, I did have my phone on the charger, which automatically turns off my battery saver. Where are you growling at? Stop it. So, I mean, if that is what the problem was, I mean, that's an easy fix, and I don't have to worry about it no more. If it's not, well then, oh well. I figured out if as long as I don't touch the live button, it will run for a decent 10 minutes. So I'm just not going to mess with that as much as possible. I mean, if it's crashing every 20 minutes, that's not nearly as bad as it was the other night, and that doesn't get me nearly as frustrated, which means it is still pretty worth it. Especially if I can stream on YouTube, where yeah, I can't even do that until I get 1,000 followers. So I mean, it's definitely pretty good for that. Sorry, I was rinsing off the plate. For whoever does dishes, I don't want to just leave it there as dirty as it can possibly be. So in case I'm doing it, I also don't want it to be dirty. so it's better to just rinse it off. Alrighty, back to where I was talking. Which one were we on? Actually, we already talked about all these now, except for you. This equipment right here, I immediately fell in love with. Because, number one, I was using Gojo, so I thought if the character had the same profile picture as the character you're using, that it would give them a buff. It does not. So, yeah, there's that. But this right here was the biggest reason. Using command skill or ultimate skill, 65% damage dealt increase to self for 1 turn, can be used again after 6 turns. Not really worth it for Gojo, because you can only use it twice throughout the entire battle. Once on your first turn, and once when you get your ultimate skill at the very end. So I mean, it wasn't really worth it for that. And then this right here, he couldn't even use it. And when turn starts, if self's HP is no more than 50% and can only be used once in the battle, applies curse energy efficiency increase to self for 3 turns. Not worth it, because it's very rare he's going to even get hurt. I mean, he has his infinity up. So, I mean, for the first 7 turns, unless somebody uses a domain expansion, he's not getting hit. So, I mean, it just wasn't really worth it. The only reason, I don't know why I went off of it. The only reason I really did use it was because the curse technique was really high. And it was like, okay, that actually helps, because Gojo's strongest attacks are all based off curse technique. That's not the reason I started using it. I use it because it had his profile. But once I figured out, oh, hey, some of these have different curse techniques and everything increases, and different health and physical attack increases. And it was like, oh, that's actually kind of cool. And then I realized that this one was pretty high when it was at like level 20. Whoops. And I was like, oh, wow, this is actually pretty good. I'm going to keep increasing it. And I did. That's why it's at level 60. Plus, it was a free-to-play one, which wasn't bad. But I'm not going to lie, do kind of regret it. So, I mean, it wasn't like the worst mistake I've ever made, but also wasn't the best decision I've ever made either. It's kind of just sitting there 50-50. Perfect, level 50. And then boom. We got that one right there increased. And this is one of the tagged ones that I have, so it's one that I do want to keep for a bit. So the only one I really need to increase up to level 50 is going to be this one. And then I'll slowly increase it up to level 60. Well, this one can only be at 55, so yeah.